This features segment of the Suburban Radio Hour is brought to you by Harina Optometrists Rockland Center. Book today at harina.ca or call 514-HARINA-1.
Beryl Wiseman, editor of the Suburban, back with you on the Suburban Radio Hour with my colleagues Anthony Bonaparte, features editor, Mark Lidbetter, sports editor, and Mike Cohen with everything on entertainment and society news. And now I hand it over to Anthony, and you've got a special guest, and you've got all kinds of things coming up on with Dr. Mitch. But first of all, an interesting NDG story about how citizens help themselves.
Yeah, you know this writer, Beryl. His name is Joel Chasky. I think he works for you.
Joel Chasky. Oh, Chasky.
There you go.
He's
there
back.
Yep.
I heard he was in Marbella.
Who?
Marbella, Spain. I heard he was on the beach. He was on vacation, no?
Okay, I did not hear this one.
Joel,
you didn't tell me this.
He did. Is he on the line?
He's on the line right now. Yeah.
Listen,
Joel.
If I can afford to be on the beach right now, then
Yeah, Joel usually writes for Beryl section, the news section. Great writer.
We all write together.
Exactly. But he also contributes to our monthly digital magazine called FYI. It comes out, like I said, monthly. It just dropped on Friday. And Joel outdid himself this month with a bunch of stories that I thought were fantastic. And that's why we invited him on this week. Jen will be back next week. Jen Cox, that is. Joel, thanks for doing this. First of all,
pleasure, and thanks for the kind words. This month it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you did 4 stories this week, and the first one that stood out to me, it's our cover story actually. If you take a look at FYI at thesuburban.com, and the first story is called "Standing Watch." It's a vivid portrayal of an NDG crossing guard named Joanne Herbu. She's 58 years old, and you know what? I've always wanted to do a story on crossing guards. I mean, I live in a school zone myself, and I've thought about it for a while, and you beat me to it, and you did a great job. How did it come about? And tell us about this crossing guard and what you discovered.
Well, yeah, Girouard is on my regular route when I bike 3 seasons a year, and I was stopped at the corner of NDG Avenue and Girouard late last fall, and it was a warm afternoon. So I was just chatting with the crossing guard for a few minutes, and I discovered that it's a problematic intersection. And I asked why, and we talked a little bit before the kids all came out, and I went on my way, and I just tucked it in the back of my mind. And then I was talking to a cop who told me that there's a serious shortage in crossing guards in the city of Montreal, and I figured, bingo. So I got in touch with them and with this lady, Joanne, who stands watch there at École Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, which is an elementary school in NDG that has probably slightly under 1,000 students, and invited myself over and hung out for the morning. And I should have done it in fall because it was a bloody cold morning, but it really opened my eyes to how important their jobs are and how serious they take it. And what it means to be part of a community that way.
What surprised you from what she said when you spoke to her?
Well, it's the level of vigilance that they have. Most people, when you see a crossing guard, you wait for their stop sign to go up, their little handheld panel, or you make eye contact. But I watched her at work. I really watched her. She's like an eagle eye, and she darts and she moves with purpose. It was a very intentional task that she carries out every morning, lunchtime, and in the afternoon. And as soon as her shift is over, she takes a leisurely stroll home, and then she comes back and she gets back into that mode. And it's very hard to conduct a conversation. It takes more than 2 hours to have a 20-minute conversation because she'll just walk away mid-sentence because she sees somebody approaching from far. And she really has control of that intersection. And what I also didn't know beforehand was how often the police are checking those intersections, those school crossings, to back up their colleagues, because crossing guards are employed by the SPVM in Montreal. And so they watch them, they support them. If there's an issue or a complaint with an issue in the area or with a scofflaw behind the wheel, the cops come pretty quickly. And I got to see her in action, working quite diplomatically with drivers as well, pointing out what they're doing right or wrong. And for the most part, everybody's kind of very civic and civil, and everything ends with a smile. But that's not always the case, and you can find out more if you read my story.
Yeah. For the story, you spoke to SPVM communications agent Caroline Labelle and also Station 9 Commander Stéphane Desrochers. You also spoke to a local city councillor who knows.
Well, Peter McQueen. Yeah, Peter McQueen knows the school. He knows the area, and he was effusive in his praise for her, that she's so appreciated in the neighborhood, and the kids, the teachers, the community loves her. And it's true. You just stand there for an hour, and you see all these little smiles poking through scarves. All these little kids walking to school in the morning, dragging their lunch boxes and their bags, and they're all the bonjour, madame. It's really something to see. And as for the police, it was interesting. There are about 540 active school crossings on the island of Montreal, and they have about 670 crossing guards between full-time and on-call staff, but they're not distributed evenly across the island. So they're always recruiting. They're always looking for more crossing guards to have on call so that they can always staff a corner. So that's interesting. And they're on a bit of a recruiting kick. And if anybody's interested in, spending about 20 hours a week outside, making about $20 an hour, and you get a nifty vest and a stop sign and some crampons for your boots, it might be for you.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea.
It's a great story. Anything you want to know about crossing guards, it's in Joel's story. Another story that's stuck out to me was something called Fusion of Culture and Geography. It's about what's his name? Danny Rebel. Danny Rebel, exactly. Yeah. A local artist and musician. Talk about that one.
Yeah, Danny's an NDG guy. He's in his mid-30s. He's a painter and a musician. And what's interesting about Danny in terms of his visual arts is he has a very, there's a lot of shtick in art these days. People find their own angle to promote a vision they have, and they're all equally valid. But there's something about what he does. He smashes together pop culture and geography like nobody else.
It's great stuff.
For example, he's got this great canvas of Joe Strummer eating a smoked meat sandwich outside Schwartz's. And just the juxtaposition of the Clash man, like having a nosh in front of Schwartz's, it's just so perfect. It's so sweet. It's a big nod to Montreal. He celebrates little spots, spaces, everything from a pawn shop on Queen Mary to a deli on Notre Dame to a field in Pointe Claire. And he inserts iconic musical influences into those canvases. And they're so much fun. And just leafing through his catalog for about 5 minutes, I made a mental checklist of the next 20 years of gift giving that I'm going to do. It's really something. I mean, the guy painted Manny Pacquiao putting up his dukes in the parking lot of Plamondon Metro. Like, where else is he going to do that except in the center of Filipino life in Montreal?
Now, there are some listeners who might not know who Manny Pacquiao is.
Well, Manny Pacquiao, amazingly
great
talented
fighter.
Filipino fighter, boxer, former senator. I think he even played basketball.
He's done everything.
Basketball. Yeah, he's looked up to by a lot of youth in Montreal, in the Filipino diaspora, and as is Danny, who grew up on Barclay. Mm-hmm. He was born in the Philippines, but he grew up. He was raised in Cotaneige. And you see it in a lot of his work. Now Danny is also a reggae, soul, and ska musician, and he has a band, Danny Rebel and the KGB. I've heard them described as reggae with some punk influence, and they are dropping a new album in May. But they just released their first single, and they're already going out to tour in New York City and DC this month. So this is a really busy guy. There's links in my story to his website where you can check out his artwork. He's got a beautiful canvas of Bob Marley at the Tam Tams of all places, of course. That's also a great nod to Montreal and to the Tam Tam culture, and he captures it beautifully, and it's really worth looking at.
Okay. Joel, I want to thank you. There's two other stories in the FYI this month that Joel wrote that are fantastic. Also, one of them is called Saving Grace, about the custom design tattoo shop in NDG on Sherbrooke Street.
Yeah, Sherbrooke near Marcel or Oxford, I think.
They're having an anniversary party pretty soon, right? Aren't they? The 16th?
The Saturday after next,
okay.
the 16th. Food, music, and lots of body art to look at or contemplate.
All right. Joel, thanks a lot.
Pleasure, anytime.
Talk to you soon. Cheers.
Be well.
Take care.
Bye-bye. And Beryl, back to you.
And thank you, Anthony. This is the Suburban News Hour on CJD 800. And now let's check in with traffic, and we'll be right back after that with Mike Cohen and all you need to know on entertainment and society news.
This features segment of the Suburban Radio Hour was brought to you by Harina Optometrists Rockland Center. Book today at harina.ca or call 514-HARINA-1.